here. Welcome to the panel discussion of Punjab, where we shall be discussing the climate finance landscape in Punjab and the challenges posed by climate change to Punjab and how do we plan on scaling up the climate action. Now, I would like to tell you that the realization that climate change is impacting Punjab and causing devastating havoc and wreaking havoc in the region runs deep, which is evident by the top leadership that is present here today. So I would like to request Honorable Chief Minister Punjab, Mr. Mohsin Naqvi, to kindly come on the podium and enlighten us with his thoughts on the occasion. Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Punjab government, I would like to welcome you all to discuss the challenges we have faced regarding climate change in Pakistan, particularly in Punjab province. Pakistan is the 8th most vulnerable country in the world to climate change. We have seen drastic impacts of this in the form of 2022 flooding, where 1/3 of the country was underwater and 33 million people were displaced. Punjab is the highest populated province of Pakistan with a population of 130 million people. It has faced unpredictable weather patterns in recent years. The Punjab government has been making all efforts possible to achieve climate change related targets set under Sustainable Development Goals in its commitment to the international community. We have introduced 6 new laws and policies to reduce plastic pollution and smog. Green technology strategy is also underway. We have also established an environment endowment fund with the seed money of $50 million to encourage green investment in private sector through grants and loans. We are aware of the challenges posed by climate change and we acknowledge that a lot more needs to be done on our part to adopt fast changing ground realities. However, climate change is a trans-boundary challenge which requires countries to adopt an international and regional approach. For example, the decrease in air quality index due to smog has impacted both Indian and Pakistani Punjab. For proper resolution for the issue, there needs to be a collaborative approach across the border to identify the root causes and to formulate effective strategies to deal with the issue. Climate justice is shared responsibility which demands coordinated efforts from all the nations. Together we must forge a path towards a sustainable future, preserving the beauty of our planet and for the future generations. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much for those insightful remarks. So today's session will mainly be divided into 2 parts. The first session we'll be discussing about the challenges that Punjab faces when we talk about climate change, and the second session we'll be talking about the climate finance landscape and how do we plan on scaling up climate action. So for the first session, I would request our panelist, number 1, Secretary Agriculture, to kindly join us on stage. Nader Chattha sir. I would also like to request Ms. Catherine Wong to join us. She's the UNDP climate change expert. I'd also like to request your Ruta, Mr. Imran Amin, to please join us on stage for the panel. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Ali Tauqi, the moderator for this session. He's a climate change expert and a member of the Pakistan Climate Change Council. Mr. Ali Tauqi, can you please kindly come here? Sir, you may please join the panel here. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
just want to outline for everyone the purpose of this session is to develop a deeper understanding of Punjab's climate challenge, identify climate gap, the financial gap, and how we are struggling to meet that gap. Before we proceed, we would like to show you a small document. Go ahead.
Pakistan is responsible for less than 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions, yet it is facing a supersized price of man-made climate change.
We have to talk also about
Bangladesh and Pakistan have been experiencing unprecedented floods.
Thank you. You have seen the complexity of our development agenda and how deeply linked it is with the climate change crisis. Just a sentence on the financial gap. Those international participants who are not aware, a year ago we had a flood costing us over $30 billion. And now the estimates are that in coming years, our budget will be, the budget needed will be a lot more, and we're looking at a deficit of $448 billion, and we'll have the resources for only $48 billion, and we need to figure out, and this is the exercise, to find out how we will generate $300 additional billion. And we are very fortunate with a very eminent panel today. With us is the Chief Secretary of the Punjab province, that is Pakistan's largest province, the most populous one and most prosperous one. And he is the Dean of Development and Climate Change Nexus in the province. So my very short question to you as a Dean of Development and Climate Change, how is climate change affecting your development agenda, and what is your vision for the future?
Thank you very much. Basically, when we touch this subject, it is like that innocent is being punished and we don't know when to play. We are contributing around 0.9% to greenhouse emission, but we are one of the top 10 affected countries in the world. Because of these recent changes in weather, we are facing a lot of floods, heat waves, and many other challenges. For example, as we have seen last flood of 2022, where I was also involved in the implementation, it was a huge loss. I mean, people talk about 5 billion, 20 billion, 40 billion, but there are millions of people who lost their house, animals, they gone below poverty line. We try to help them a lot, but even then the gap is large. Punjab is half of the Pakistan, 130 million people. In 7 out of 10, most populous cities are in Punjab. So anything that is being happened there, we are the most affected province in the country. When we talk about challenges, there are numbers, but I just mentioned 2 or 3 which are more important and we are facing at the moment. First is mostly air quality and smoke. Lahore now stands among top 3 cities in the world, almost in the daily ranking. That is due to number of reasons. There is stubble burning, which is happening both in India and Pakistan, and once, even if we try to manage, we get a lot of smoke from the other side of the border. Then there is regular pollution and industrial pollution. The Chief Minister visited in this forum as well. He took up this issue almost 5 years back, and he put all resources whichever were possible to manage this. But unfortunately, the quantum is very, very huge. It has an issue of livelihood. It has issue of there is no alternate for stubble burning at the moment. If we close the factories, people who lost their jobs. So there is a very critical balance that we are facing. And in this area, I think that there is a lot of investment is required. We need to have industrial zone outside the cities. We need to put a plant in every industrial unit where the vehicle can be cleaned. There is a civil issues. I mean, there is a huge investment that we are looking for if we want to handle this issue. And this cannot happen with simple one government approach, or this is a world over, we need support from the whole world. This change in weather is also causing us a lot of difficulties. Last year, the hill torrents of Dera Ghazi Khan, I mean, these are just small torrents, but last year, they were bigger than even rivers. There were 300,000 cubics of water passing through small areas. And the speed is so high that they bring devastation to everywhere. Now, again in the river, the floods, both have affected Punjab and Sindh mostly. Now we need some bigger investment, otherwise this will start happening in every 2-3 years. And then again the people will go through the same cycle of livelihood loss and all those things. Heat wave is, we are also experiencing a heat wave, which was unusual phenomenon. I mean, in 2015, almost 1,500 people died. So this heat wave is also, I will talk about agriculture, it is affecting every walk of life as well. Pakistan is, and especially the Punjab is mainly agriculture province, and this weather pattern, changing weather patterns are affecting us. There is a cropping pattern that are being changed. We don't have a seed to adjust to those cropping patterns. That needs a lot of research. Then crop fertility is another issue. Rising temperature and climate change adversely affect agriculture and crop yield. In the World Bank report 2022, From Swimming in the Sand to High and Sustainable Growth, the author have highlighted research which showed that in Punjab, for every 0.5 to 2 degree increase in temperature, the crop yield decreases by 8 to 10%. The climate-induced challenges in agriculture are a serious threat for our food security, since Punjab is the food basket of Punjab. Then again, all inputs for industry also come from the agriculture. Then industry is also going to fail. So this is a kind of thing that we are suffering from all sides, and we need a wholesome approach. And that is only possible. We are trying to make efforts. I mean, Chief Minister is very keen. He is working on smoke. We added one holiday in a week. Then he holds almost twice a week a meeting on the issue of environment. He is trying to look into this rain, artificial rain, ground ionization, then what air filtration. I mean, he's exploring all those options that we are working with him. He is sending a team to Kazakhstan. We are working all the partners to suggest us some solution. And there are things we can do and there are things that are coming from India. I mean, that would be a joint challenge. But again, these are all measures which can reduce our problem to 5%, 10%. But if we really want to manage it, we have to look into our industrial units, our vehicles, and all those factors which are affecting our daily life because population is growing at a nice. And for that, I believe that we need a collaboration in research and investment. That is the only way forward we suggest. And I am grateful for this platform COP-28 for inviting us and giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for outlining that how climate change has begun to our development growth rate and adversely affecting the lives and quality of life for a large number of people, and both in urban and rural areas. As a Dean of the Development of the Province, you have outlined in a very comprehensive manner. We are very fortunate to also have with us Iftikhar Sahu, who is spearheading this exercise, project by project, ministry by ministry, and department by department. Sir, I wanted to ask you a short question, if I may. That how the development agenda is influenced by climate change again, and what specific measures you are taking and prioritizing to increase resilience in the province.
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Before I specifically respond to your questions, let me sensitize you and the distinguished delegates and participants. For Punjab, what is at stake? At stake is the lives and livelihood of 30 billion people. So what is at stake in Punjab for climate change challenges is the lives and livelihood of 130 million people living in the province. And just to share with you, this population is double the size of population of the United Kingdom. Climate change, we all know, it's a threat multiplier. It is affecting us in every sector. As mentioned by the Chief Secretary of Punjab, we got a recent study conducted by the World Bank and another research done by the UNDP that if we in Punjab don't really come up with an action plan to handle the climate change, we are going to lose up to 15% of our GDP by the year 2050. And by our current GDP estimation, it's a staggering figure of $13 billion US. So as a head of planning and development in the province, the biggest challenge for me is to mainstream the climate financing in every aspect of development planning and the public investment choices that we make. We cannot see the climate finance and the issues of the environmental challenges that we face in sectors like agriculture, urban transport, energy, in silo. Planning paradigm of Punjab, we have started tagging our public investment vis-a-vis the climate change, whether it's the resilience, it's the adaptation, it's the mitigation. We are in a way investing in agriculture, in urban planning, the climate smart infrastructure, and very important, one aspect that I would like to focus on, transition to clean energy. Since Pakistan is a signatory and we've committed greenhouse gas emission reduction of 50%, and Punjab being the largest province has to be cognizant to play its role and contribute toward the national commitment. So in terms of transition to cleaner energy, we have the immense potential of solar, renewable energy, wind, hydro. We are also doing some demand side management. it's the energy conservation. We are bringing solarization in all our government infrastructure, mapping the renewable energy potential of the province. So there are a number of responses that are coming up. We are trying to mainstream the agenda. It's also important to share with you that under the leadership of Chief Minister Punjab, we have done some new initiative in terms of legislative and policy instrument done this year, like approval of the first clean air policy, coming up with the urban pollution and air quality management plan. We have been reaching out to different development partners. Some of the representatives are here to work with us and to help us in terms of building the capacity development of various departments to handle the climate change challenges. There is a host of actions being undertaken, but I think much more needs to be done, and that is the main purpose of coming to this global forum for a handshake with the international community in our endeavors, in our ambitions to handle the climate change challenges of the province of Punjab.
Thank you very much. And thank you, sir, also in particular for drawing our attention to that the climate challenge in Punjab is adaptation as well as mitigation. And through clean energy initiatives, you are addressing not only adaptation but mitigation as well. In terms of financial gaps, a recent study, CCDR, had highlighted that we will need $152 billion for adaptation and $196 million for decarbonization. These are large sums, and it's a very opportune time for me to reach out to Radha Chathasa, who has immense responsibility on his shoulders. Punjab is the mainstay of Pakistan's economy. It's the breadbasket of Pakistan, not only of the province. In fact, Pakistan's produce, you can find it in many Central Asian countries, including perhaps Middle Eastern countries. So he's our agriculture production machine in charge. So if I may ask you that how climate change has made provincial economy more vulnerable, and how specifically you are trying to address that risk in various complex aspects of agriculture.
Thank you, Dr. Shah, so kind of you for asking this question. First and foremost, let me say on the outset that Punjab produces about 60% of the national agriculture output, which means 75% of wheat, 60% of rice, 97% of citrus, and 95% of vegetables. And we not only cater for the entire population of Punjab, but we also supply agriculture goods and products to the rest of the province. And being a responsible neighbor, our products also go to Afghanistan, Iran, and Central Asia. And so, as Secretary of Agriculture, I'm not just supposed to look at what is going on in Punjab, but how Punjab becomes a regional economic hub, and how Punjab, in the future coming years, keep feeding the adjoining regions. Now, with climate change challenges, first and foremost is the unpredictable weather conditions. One year we have more rains, the next year we have no rains, or we have less rains. Now, all this leads to less crop yield. Crop yield hovers between, from one year, it comes down to 20%, the next year it might climb up another 20%. The second challenge, it's an age-old practice, but now we are really facing the brunt, and that is in the way of smog, because farmers find it more convenient and economic to burn their crop residue rather than putting that to good use, and good use means either as organic fertilizer or for energy generation. So farmers simply burn the crop residue, and most of that is the rice straw burning. Now that leads to so much air pollution, smog in major metropolis, that in this year, in this season, Lahore, Multan was ranking in the top 10 high AQI index cities in the world. Now the double-edged sword is that if you prevent them physically from burning, we will not have the next wheat crop. And we need the wheat crop to feed not just Punjab's population but the rest of the region's population. The third most significant impact is the water shortage. By water shortage, what I'm saying is that Punjab receives its 56 million acre water from the Indus River system, which means that there are three ranges in the north of Pakistan: the Karakoram range, the Himalayan region, and the Hindu Kush range. And we have one of the world's magnificent glaciers. These glaciers are melting fast at a rate of 2-3% every year, and it is expected that by the end of this century we will lose about 60% of our glacial mass. Now this means a reduction of crop water availability by around 20 to 25%. And farmers turn towards pumping subsurface water through use of tube wells. Now there are about 1.2 million tube wells in Punjab, and the 12% shortage of water from the Indus Basin River system is met through water pumping. Now that too also is environmentally really damaging. So this is my response to what the question. I hope it serves the purpose for now.
Thank you, sir. Well, my next panelist is Kathleen Wong. Kathleen is UNDP's Global Team Leader for Climate and Security Risk. And ma'am, before I ask you a question, I just want to ask all to know, our next door neighbor is France, and like Paris Agreement, you can't hear them very clearly. There are many conflicting sounds and voices. Question, ma'am, that I want to ask. You have heard from us the complexity of this agenda, evolving and compounding and incorporating. You heard our Chief Minister say that we want a just transition. We don't want the conflicts to be accentuated by the seriousness of climate change in the area. I wanted to ask you how your portfolio and the UNDP in general is a more active partner in the provincial development agenda.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the question. I'm really honoured to be able to speak to you. Okay, I'll put myself in front of the screen. I think it's better, right? Okay, so I'll go slightly in this direction. But really a pleasure to join the panel today. I think a lot of excellent points were raised already, and one of the more exciting developments that we've seen here at COP over the last couple of days has been the endorsement by more than 120 countries of the climate change and health declaration that's been led by the UAE. And some new commitments, $300 million by the Global Fund, another $100 million by Rockefeller Foundation, and $50 million by the UK to tackle climate and health interconnections. And this is really important. You know, if you look at the latest IPCC report, for example, it shows that 150 million deaths will be avoided by the turn of the century if we get to net zero as soon as possible. And so we have co-benefits of health that are related to climate change. And so, as mentioned by excellent team panelists earlier, there's definitely a win-win agenda that we're pursuing here in terms of climate, in terms of air pollution, and related implications for health as well. In the case of Pakistan, you know, I was fascinated to read, and you know, these are well-known figures, but we're looking at about 22,000 deaths per year due to outdoor pollution, right? And another 28,000 deaths due to indoor pollution, and some 40 million cases of acute respiratory infection each year. So these are not small numbers, and they have impacts on broader economic development, right? We're looking at the number of work days lost per year as well, which ends up in the tens of thousands here. So I think critical risks that we can address for health, for lives and livelihoods, again by delivering on ambitious commitments that were mentioned under the Paris Agreement by Ali just now. The second point that I think is important here as well is the broader impacts, again, of food insecurity, of foul crops, of climate disasters, on displacement. And we're talking 8 million people in 1 year. This is actually something that we're seeing across our portfolio as UNDP, right, and more broadly the UN system and the international community. Each year, displacement by climate-related natural resources outpaces displacement by conflict every single year. And only last year was that gap narrowed due to the war in Ukraine. But there are some very serious challenges again moving forward by not getting to net zero. And if you look at the World Bank's groundswell report, for example, it estimates something like 200 million people displaced within their own countries due to climate change by 2050. UNHCR puts a much higher figure of north of 1 billion people who will be displaced as well. So I think we need to think about what those impacts are, what they mean for social cohesion, what they mean for rural to urban migration flows, for example, and then also in the context of broader disaster response efforts as well, and being able to make sure that we are protecting those who are on the move and the most vulnerable in any different context in the immediate aftermath of climate-induced disasters. And then I think the other figure that the other report was really important that came out the day of the first day of COP was the WMO report, right? Because we finally this year broke through that 1.5 degree barrier for the first time. And what did the report say? I mean, very shocking to me. We see figures like this all the time, but the hottest year on record. If we look at the last 9 years, the 9 hottest years that we have known,